experience in the corporate. So yeah, next agenda for today is what are the skills required for corporate success. Now, if you ask to anyone, so suppose say you are a structural engineer, you ask to someone what are the skills that are required for good career growth. Corporate success means if you want to have a good career in structural engineering, so what are the skills that you should be having? So let's discuss one by one. What are the skills that can help you to have a successful career as a structural engineer? Number one is obviously this is a no-brainer. You need to have strong technical background. Now, what does a strong technical background means? Suppose say you are a structural engineer. You need to be aware of all the, say you're a structural engineer who designs building. So you need to be aware of entire building design process from start to finish. This is called as having a strong technical background. Now, it could be as simple as, fixing, column locations, orientation of columns. It could be as simple as, so complete design process means as soon as you get a plan from architect, from there to load calculation, modeling, analysis, design, sending drawings to site, which is called a GFC, good for construction drawing. In this entire process, you need to be very strong. Or in this sense, you need to be aware of all the things. Now, what are the things you need to be aware of in this process? Start from the very basic. Say architecture gives you a plan. You need to be aware of how to locate columns, how to orient column. Say what are the starting depths. You are proposing some beam, say a G+4 residential building. Your boss gives you to design. So you need to be aware of what are the thumb rules, what starting beam column sizes you can take, how you fix the depth of foundation, everything, how you do the modeling process, how is the design process, thumb rules, and all the modeling intricacies also. For example, if you're using software apps, whether you want to model the slabs as shell membrane, if you model it as shell membrane, how does the design affects everything. So design process means you cannot say I'm working in my say XYZ company. I just use slab as a membrane. So you cannot say that I only know slab is designed as a assigned as a membrane in ETABS. In ETABS, there are 4 options to uh, choose slab as slab property: thick shell, thin shell, membrane, and one more thing. So you cannot say I just use membrane in my office because my boss says to use membrane. This is wrong. Strong technical background means you need to be aware of entire process, irrespective whether you are using it in an office or not. Say your office might have some rules. Say your boss might have said, okay, we are using only membrane as a slab. They could have their reasons. So any conservative reason, whatever, they could be having their reasons. When you are working under him, under that boss, obviously you cannot deviate. If your boss says to design a slab in ETABS, taking it as a membrane, obviously you have to follow it. But you have to know what are the other options also. When is thick shell used, when is thin shell used. So all of this thought, this I just gave an example. Strong technical background means you need to be aware about all the design process. Say types of analysis, gravity analysis, how you do seismic analysis, say wind analysis. Wind also, it has static, dynamic. When do you use static analysis? When do you use dynamic analysis? What is gust factor? How to do that in ETABS or in other softwares? Seismic analysis, what is static, what is dynamic, what is scaling of base shear. All of this comes under the entire design process. You cannot say I am working from 2 years in an office and I design only say small to mid rise. That's why I have not done any dynamic seismic analysis. This you should not say. Even though for small to mid rise, dynamic analysis may not be required. You might have done only equivalent static method. But as a structural engineer, you need to be aware, okay, what are the dynamic analysis? What is the response spectrum? What is scaling of base shear? What is linear, non-linear? When I need to go about PVD, pushover, all these things you need to be aware, not just theoretical, also how to do it in software. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing manual designs, you're doing it in software. So this comes under having strong technical background. Next, what are the skills required for the corporate success? Industry grade software. Now, what does this mean? If you are a structural engineer, say who designs building, what are the softwares you need to be aware of? For say superstructure design, you use ETABS, you use StatPro, maybe Robot, maybe there are so many softwares. So you need to be aware at least the design process. Say a couple of buildings you should have tried in all the softwares just to know the GUI, just to know the interface, just to know how modeling is slightly different, how the analysis is slightly different from one software to another. So you have to know all the industry grade software. So one thing I want to emphasize here on this part on industry grade software. Say you are designing a steel structure, you are using StatPro. Obviously, StatPro is a very popular software. Now, StatPro can only do the steel. It will give you utilization ratio, it will give you tension, compression, whatever. So, depending what is the capacity, how much is the utilization in each member, it gives. But the limitation of StatPro is it cannot design the connections. So this is very, very important. For connection design also, you cannot say that I just choose StatPro for my member capacities or element or just for analysis of the superstructure, and connection design, I don't know which software is used. So you need to be aware industry grade, what industry is using for connection design. Say Idea Statica, you might have heard, it is a very, very popular tool, software tool to design the connections. Why it is popular is Idea Statica has so many templates. You can design any connection which is even very complex. So there are so many members connecting, say different types of end plate connections are there, beam column connections are there, simply supported shear moment connections. So Idea Statica is a industry grade software which you should be knowing. You cannot say that connection design I don't know how to do, in which software to do, and like I know only StatPro. Again, Bentley RAM is again one of the other software which is used for connection design. So you need to be aware about industry grade softwares which are used. Third thing, what are the skills? Industry awareness. Now, industry awareness means what? Suppose say you are designing a multi-story building. Your boss tells you take SBC as 200 kilonewton per square meter and design the foundation. Now, what you do in the software in ETAP StatPro, you fix the base of foundation. Now, take a moment and think. Industry awareness means what? Your boss gave you a SBC value. You're directly using it to design your foundation. Whether that is the right approach or no. So this industry awareness means soil, whether you want to model exact soil behavior under your building or under your, say, column, base of the column, or you want to use a conservative approach, which is called as SBC. Say 200 kilonewton per meter square SBC, you assume that soil will behave like that and soil will have a 200 kilonewton per square meter this thing capacity. So that is a conservative approach. So soil structure interaction is something called as a big part, not a big part, like one of the part of industrial awareness. You should know what is soil structure interaction. Soil structure interaction means you're exactly modeling soil below your base of the foundation so as to eliminate any kind of uncertainties. Like when you use, say, 200 kilonewton SBC, there are some uncertainties, like some water table is there, your SBC can even get reduced to half. You might have read about factors affecting soil bearing capacity. So water table and all. So that experience is a lot. So soil structure interaction is industry awareness. You should be knowing that, okay, my boss is saying just design the foundation, take 200 kilonewton per meter square. But from where that 200 kilonewton per square meter comes, whether it is appropriate, whether it is conservative, whether it is exact, this is called as industry awareness. So you should have this as an industry awareness. Also, say, suppose you're modeling a pile. You're designing a pile manually in any software. You need spring stiffness, both lateral and horizontal spring stiffness for the soil. How do you calculate? So this is again as part of industry awareness. You should know. You cannot say I design, considering fix as my foundation. That is also okay. That's a conservative approach. Say exact soil spring calculation of those. So everything that comes a part of industry awareness. When you are a structural engineer building, you need to be aware of all these things. Next, interpersonal skills. Very, very important for all the structural engineers, no matter whether you are fresher, no matter whether you have 5 years experience or 10 years experience, interpersonal skills are very, very important. Now, what does interpersonal skills? Some 2 to 3 very important skills I just will highlight here. First is communication. Under interpersonal skills, what essential skills which you want to have to grow in your career is interpersonal skills. Communication is one of the biggest factor. Communication means what? Whenever you want to put your thoughts, when you want to convey your thoughts from you to your anything, your manager, your entire company, outside company to clients. So you need a way to communicate. How you communicate is very, very important. And this interpersonal skills as skills required for corporate success is something which a lot of structural engineers neglect. They just focus on this part. Like they're very good at knowing all the industry grade software. They know all the advanced analysis software. They know robot, they know even midas, everything. They may be knowing high end softwares. They are good at basics, but they lack interpersonal skills. This is my experience, this is my notice. So you need to be very good at communication. Communication, there are again two parts: oral, that is verbal communication; written communication. Verbal communication means what? You need to be able to speak in a clear, concise manner to your boss, to your other teams, to your clients, anyone. So it is very, very important. You use proper, sentences, and whatever you speak, have necessary pauses. Make sure the other person is understanding your whatever you are putting your thoughts across in a meeting, to your boss, explaining design to your friends, anything. So you need to be very sure that whatever you are explaining, the other person is understanding. That is the essence of communication. Other part of communication, written communication. This a lot of people again neglect. Written communication means, say, suppose you want to write an email to your boss or to your client or to your, say, collaboration within teams. How you write an email, a lot of people are not aware. There are email etiquettes also. What tone you have to use, whether in oral communication or written communication, you should know. Like, for example, what is a professional tone? Suppose you want to ask your boss some help. You cannot just say, hey, I need this help. No, this is wrong. The word hey itself is wrong. You cannot use the word hey when you are communicating professionally to your boss or this thing. So all these things you should know. What are the tone I need to use? What language I need to use? Whether, the other person is able to understand or not. So interpersonal skills are very, very, important part. And again, so interpersonal skills, so communication comes, collaboration is again one of the other very good interpersonal skills which you must have in order to have a good career. What does collaboration means? Suppose, for example, I work at Atkins in a structures team. Atkins have 10 to 15 different departments. I work in structures. Atkins also has a geotechnical department. Atkins also has a BIM department. Atkins also has a highway department. Atkins also has alignment department. 10 to 15 departments are there. Collaboration means, for my design, suppose one building or one township, some came to me. I need soil data to design my building or structure, whatever this. To get this soil data, I need to collaborate with geotechnical team. Collaboration means what? You need to be making very sure that what inputs you want from geotechnical team, how you will ask them. Suppose you want to ask SBC values, say, for example, or spring stiffness values from geotechnical aspect. How to write a mail and ask is very important. Collaboration means you need to be able to know how to work with different teams and different people. Similarly, apart from geotech, you need, suppose there is a one township, or say, suppose there is a a tower, say 25 stories, 30 stories. There will be so many departments: MEP, structures, BIM, architectural. So collaboration means you need to know, okay, what inputs do I need from MEP people, or whether anything from structural design output, what I give, whether it affects to them also. So all this comes under collaboration. Interpersonal skills is one of the most important part. Again, CPD. CPD means continuous professional development. CPD means you are, say, suppose you are doing you are a structural engineer. In your office, you are designing a multi-story buildings. Like, your boss only gives you multi-story building design. Suppose you want to switch your job tomorrow. You say you are doing a job switch after some 2 years or 3 years. In an interview, suddenly interviewer asks you steel design, questions on steel designs. Now you cannot say, I did from 2 years only multi-story RCC building design and I don't know steel design. You cannot say this. Why? Because if you are a structural engineer, you are expected to know even whether it is RCC, whether it is steel, whether it is composite, anything. You cannot say, I do not know that just because I'm not working on it. So CPD means, apart from your work, you should also know other design. It could be other types of analysis. It could be other types of software. It could be other types of structures altogether. So CPD means you have to be continuously upskilling yourself. You have to do the continuous professional development. Next, confidence. This is one of the most important part. If I want something from this entire presentation for you to take away is confidence. How to get confidence? It is one of the most important skill. In one of the interviews 7 years back, my first interview, I was asked this question by my interviewer. The interviewer told me, can you design a slab above your head for me? This was the interview question. The moment I heard the question, I got panicked, I got nervous. He didn't give any details, no data. He didn't give me the slab thickness. He didn't give me anything like this thing. He just told me, can you design a slab above your head? We were sitting in an interview room. He just told me, can you design a slab above your head for me? Obviously, 7 years back, it was my first interview. I was very nervous, like, because in the engineering, what we are accustomed where we were having all the data, right? For designing a slab, we were given, like, suppose RCC structural elements, the subject, we have studied books, we were given all the data. We were given the depth of the slab, we were given all the nodes, we were given the spans of the slab. Okay, so we will be in a condition that entire thing is spoon fed to us in terms of input data. So we are in that mindset as a student. So when an interviewer asked me, I was very confused. Oh, he didn't give me any data. How do I do? So that time I could not answer this. Obviously, when I was a student 7 years back, this is the 2018 story. Why I'm sharing this to you is confidence, how to get is very, very important. Now, if you slightly pause, there may be many students who are, listening to this presentation, this webinar. For a slab, if your interviewer asks you, can you design a slab for me? Don't panic. Don't think that he has not given me any data. How will I design? Take a pause. Think, what data do you need for slab design? You need, say, loads. You need span, obviously. You need to know whether it's one way, two way, and maybe end conditions. So this is what you need, right, for slab. Anything other than, how to calculate moment, how to calculate moment of resistance, spacings and all criteria. So loads. If your interviewer has not given you loads, can you calculate loads by yourself? Obviously, yes. What are the loads acting on a slab? Dead load, live load. Other than this, there is no loads. How to calculate dead load? Very simple. You know the material, say it is RCC 25 into D is your dead load. So again, D, how you decide whether you can take any random depth of slab? I'll take 500 mm depth of slab and you can design. No, depth of slab is not random. IS 456 has given you L by D ratios. Based on that, you decide whether it's simply supported and continuous. So depth you get from there. Dead load you can calculate like this. How do you calculate live load? Do you want interviewer to give you live load? No. You can assume IS 875 part 3 is there. You can assume 2 kilonewton per square meter. You can assume a residential building. Very fine. Like commercial building, assume 5 kilonewton per meter square live load. So this is your confidence will be tested. If you are a structural engineer, at every point of time, your confidence will be tested. So again, span you need to design. Can't you just see above your head and by visual observation cannot we, make out approximate, say 4 meter by 3 meter is the dimension. Write it down. So the assumed dimension of slab above my head, say 4 meter into 5 meter. Again, you got the span by visual examination. You can decide by L by bilateral ratio whether it's one way or two way. If you are unsure, if you feel it is two way, you don't know what are the boundary condition, I'm assuming a continuous slab. Interviewer will test this. They will not give you all the data. They will just test your confidence. So whenever you are facing such situation, take a pause, just break down the problem, what you are expected to answer. Don't panic. Now, how I panic, just my interviewer said, can you design a slab over me? I thought, okay, what I'll do, no data. So take a moment whenever you are feeling stuck, whenever you're feeling confused, pause, reflect. Okay, this is what is asked to me, what I can do. So confidence is essential and the most important skill for your corporate success. And this is how you can get the confidence. If you ask me, confidence is got from two things: technical knowledge, industry awareness. So if you are covering these two things, your confidence will automatically rise. So next thing,